Good morning, class. Am I audible, children? Am I audible? Huh? I want the cameras open, please. Rehan, Vanshraj, Agaz, Rakshit, Prashasti. Open your cameras, beta.
Yes,
Rehan,
ma'am.
Rehan,
Yes, ma'am.
open your cameras, Rehan. Okay, tell me, where were we in the last class? But those who will not open their cameras, I will remove them from the meeting. This is for sure. Kindly open your cameras. Yes. Agaz, if you can hear me, please open your camera. Otherwise, you are out of the meeting. Yes. What about Rehan? Rehan, are you there? Parth, Tanishka, Vanshraj. Fine. Tell me in the last class, like yesterday, what we did. Flowcharts, I think we were doing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Agaz, कैमरा फिर ऑफ हो गया बेटा. चलिए कोई नहीं. I think today we have to start with the chapter reading, right? Right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. कुशाग्र तनिष्क बेटा कैमरास खोलो, नहीं तो मेरे को वो बच्चा चाहिए जो क्लास में कैमरा ऑन रखे थ्रू आउट. आई डोंट वांट दोज सिटिंग विद द कैमरास ऑफ. प्लीज कीप योर कैमरास ऑन. I'm sharing the screen with you all for the book, and then we'll start reading, because I think flowcharts when we were doing, I explained you also side by side, right?
Yes.
Okay, can you all see the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes.
Fine. Tanishka, camera. Rakshit, camera. Khyati. Okay. So can we have Prashasti reading? Overview.
Yes, ma'am. Overview. In the previous chapter, we noted that vertical division of power among different levels of government is one of the major forms of power sharing in modern democracies. In this chapter, we focus on this form of power sharing. It is most commonly referred to as federalism.
Yes.
We begin by describing federalism in general terms. The rest of the chapter tries to understand the theory and practice of federalism in India. A discussion of the federal constitutional provisions is followed by an analysis of the policies and politics that has strengthened federalism in practice. Towards the end of the chapter, we turn to the local government, a new and third tier of Indian federalism.
Fine. Can we have, okay, not much is to be explained in this. So let us come to the beginning of the chapter. See, the opening of the chapter tells you that how Sri Lanka and Belgium, resolved the problems that were there in the country, and how Belgium, smartly handled the conflicts of the ethnic diversity which was there in the country by shifting from unitary to a federal form of government, whereas Sri Lanka remained unitary only. Sri Lanka did not shift to the federal form of governance. It remained as a unitary form of government only. Khyati, you are joining with another device?
Yes, ma'am.
Any problems? You are already there. Do I need to take you in again?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, please take me.
Okay, taken. Fine. Ishan, padho beta.
Let us get back to the contrast between Belgium and Sri Lanka that we saw in the last chapter. You would recall that one of the key changes made in the constitution of Belgium was to reduce the powers to the central government and to give these power to the regional government. Regional government existed in Belgium, and regional government power were given.
Then regional governments existed in Belgium.
Even earlier. They had their roles and powers, but all these powers were given to each government and could be withdrawn by the central government. The changes that took place in 1993 was that the regional government were given constitutional powers that were no longer dependent on the central government. Thus, Belgium shifted from a unitary to federal form of the government. Sri Lanka continues to be, for all practical purposes, a unitary system uh, where the national government has all the powers. Tamil leaders wanted Sri Lanka to become a federal system. Federalism is a system of government in
Wait,
which the
Ishan.
power is.
Ishan, wait. Anything up till here to be explained? Or is it clear and understood to all?
Yes.
How beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to explain anything over here?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay. You need to underline these lines. The change that took place in 1993 was that the regional governments were given constitutional powers that were no longer dependent on the central government. Thus, Belgium shifted from a unitary to a federal form of government. Right?
Yes.
Chaliye. Now see, if you remember, we did a flow chart, right? Now, the next paragraph that comes will tell you about what is a federal system, what is a unitary, what is the difference between the two, right? You will, if something which you have not understood, I'll explain, but let us read first, right? Chaliye. Can we have Khyati reading?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, from where?
बेटा कैमरा आपका ऑफ हो गया है, कैमरा ऑन करो. यस, कुशाग. फाइन. Khyati, read बेटा.
Ma'am, from which line?
Federalism is a system of.
Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Usually, a federation has two levels of government. One is the government of the entire country that is usually responsible for a few subjects of common national interest. The other are governments at the level of provinces or states that look after much of the day-to-day administrating of these states. Both of these levels of governments enjoy their powers independent of the other.
ठीक है. Anything in this to be explained?
No.
All clear and understood? चलिए.
Yes. No.
This map. Can Vanshraj read what is written below the map work that is done in the book? Vansh? I think he got disconnected. Okay, Rakshit. Rakshit Solanki.
From where?
बेटा मैप के नीचे वाला पोर्शन पढ़ो.
Though only 25 of the world's 193 countries have federal political systems, their citizens make up 40% of the world's population. Most of the large countries of the world are federation.
Okay.
Can you notice an
Okay. Now see, this map is important in the sense that they give you this question. This question was given in the term 1, that how many countries have federal system, right? Right? So do this map,
Yes.
world map in your notebook, and mark these countries which have got federal political system, right? Right?
Okay, ma'am.
Chaliye. Next. If we can have Rakshit reading this one. Yes, Rakshit.
Yes, ma'am. In this sense, federation are contrasted with unitary governments. Under the unitary system, either there is only one level of government, or the subunits or subordinate to the central government. The central government can pass on orders to the provincial or the local government. But in a federal system, the central government cannot order the state government to do something. State government has the power of its own for which it is not answerable to the central government. Both these governments are separately answerable to the people.
Okay. Anything in this to be explained? Fine. Now we'll come to the features. We'll come to the features of federalism that I already explained you. But let us read, because reading is also important. Okay. So we can have Rakshit continuing, or Prashasti wants to read. Prashasti,
Yes, ma'am.
if you could read.
Let us look at some of the key features of federalism. There are two or more levels or tiers of government. Different tiers of government govern the same citizens, but each tier has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, taxation, and administration. The jurisdictions of the respective levels or tiers of government are specified in the Constitution. So, the existence and authority of each tier of government is constitutionally guaranteed. The fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be unilaterally changed by one level of government. Such changes require the consent of both the levels of government. Courts have the power to interrupt the Constitution and the powers of different levels of government. The highest court acts as an umpire if disputes arise between different levels of government in the exercise of the respective powers. Sources of revenue for each level of government are clearly specified to ensure its financial autonomy. The federal system thus has dual objectives to safeguard and promote unity of the country while at the same time accommodate regional diversity. Therefore, two aspects are crucial for the institutions and practice of federalism. Governments at different levels should agree to some rules of power sharing. They should also trust that each would abide by its parts of the agreement. An ideal federal system has both aspects, mutual trust and agreement to live together.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prashasti, for reading. Anything, any point, any feature not clear to you again? Vanshaj? Is it clear and understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So this is important. Now this part is important. Which part? The federal system has dual objectives. What is the dual objective of federal system? You can underline these lines. You can underline these lines, right? Then what are the aspects of an ideal federal system? Last three lines. Mutual trust and agreement to live together. ये important है, इनको underline करो. ठीक है?
Ma'am, can you again repeat?
Last three lines and the first four lines. Last three and first four.
I can't find the last three lines.
The last three lines, an ideal federal system has both aspects, mutual trust and agreement to live together.
Thank you, ma'am.
Got it? Got it? Now see the next paragraph that is coming. It tells you that the exact balance of power between the central and the state government that we have, it is practiced differently in different federations. Like I told you, there are two routes for practicing this federal system. One is coming together and one is holding together, right? If you remember the flowchart that we did the other day,
Yes.
right? So this paragraph tells you that how a coming together federation is different from holding together federation, right? Right? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So can we have Tanishka? Tanishka, आपका कैमरा अभी तक ऑन नहीं हुआ है बेटा, प्रॉब्लम है कुछ? तनिष्का गंगवार, Agaz, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Open your camera and start reading.
The exact balance of power between the central and the state government varies from one federation to another. This balance depends on mainly the own historical context in which the federation was formed. There are two kinds of routes through which federations have been formed. The first route involved independent states coming together on their own to form a bigger unit, so that by pooling sovereignty and retiring identity, they can increase their security. This type of coming together federation includes the USA, Switzerland, and Australia. In the first category of federation, all the constituent states usually have equal power and are strong with the federal government.
Okay, fine. Anything in this to be explained, class?
No, ma'am.
Yes, Parth, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I have one question from an earlier part. Ma'am, it is written that, ma'am, both these levels of government enjoy their power independent of the other. So, ma'am, if there is any bill from a state level, it goes to central level. Ma'am, then, ma'am, it is independent or dependent. Like, ma'am, state cannot.
You're talking about the features, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Features. अब दोबारा से बोलो कौन सा feature है 1 2 3 4 5 6 which number of feature?
Ma'am, it is not from the features, ma'am, it is from the paragraph. Ma'am, page number 14, ma'am, last paragraph, third line. Both these level of government.
Okay. Both these levels of governments enjoy their power independent of the other. The others are government at the level of provinces. हाँ ठीक है. इसमें क्या समझना है बताओ हमें.
Ma'am, like if ma'am, there is any bill from state level, ma'am, it is not solved at state level. Ma'am, then it goes to central government. Ma'am, or at that time it is independent or dependent because ma'am, state cannot solve the problem.
If what did you say? If there is no state government, only central government is there.
No, ma'am, the bill or ma'am, the problem that has to be solved at the state level, but it is unable to solve at state level. Ma'am, then it goes to central level. Ma'am,
नहीं,
then it is independent or
नहीं ऐसा नहीं होता, ऐसा नहीं होता. देखो हम बताते हैं क्या होता है. किसी भी स्टेट, अब भाई सीधी सी बात है, घर में कोई प्रॉब्लम होती है तो हम पड़ोसी को तो बुलाते नहीं है उसको सॉल्व करने के लिए. जहां तक होता है हम कोशिश करते हैं कि हम उसको खुद रिजॉल्व करें, है ना. यही तो कोशिश करते हैं. पर जब थिंग्स गो आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल, जैसे अगर हम नक्सलाइट वाला केस लेते हैं, जो नक्सलाइट्स वाला केस है वो जो है अगर देखा जाए तो वो सिक्योरिटी है भाई, देश की सिक्योरिटी से भी रिलेटेड है, तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट उसमें फिर इंटरफेयर करती है. ऐसे केसेस में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इंटरफेयर करती है, ठीक है. पर अगर कोई ऐसी चीज होती है जिसमें कि बिना सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के इंटरफेरेंस के डिसीजंस लिए जा सकते हैं, तो इन दैट केस स्टेट गवर्नमेंट अपने हिसाब से अपनी क्षमता के अकॉर्डिंग जो है उसकी प्रॉब्लम को रिजॉल्व करती है, ठीक है. वो जल्दी से सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से वो हेल्प नहीं लेती है, राइट. And if they feel कि उनसे नहीं हो पा रहा, then they go to central government, then they seek their assistance. तो उस केस में central government is always there to help, right?
Okay. Yes.
वो कोई इशू नहीं होता है कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हेल्प नहीं कर सकती भाई, क्योंकि अब आप देखो भाई बच्चों के लेवल पे जब लड़ाई झगड़े नहीं सुलझते तो फिर मम्मी के पास जाया जाता है या पापा के पास जाया जाता है, तो एक लेवल अप ही तो जाते हैं हम लोग. तो वो उस केस में अगर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट खुद से जो है अप्रोच करती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को, तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट डज नॉट से नो इन दैट केस, ठीक है. तो वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इज ऑलवेज देयर टू सपोर्ट एंड हेल्प. ओके, चलिए परफेक्ट. अब ये कमिंग टुगेदर फेडरेशन में कोई ऐसी चीज जो आप लोग को ना समझ में आई हो?
No, ma'am.
ऑल क्लियर, राइट? चलिए, कैन वी हैव Khyati reading again.
Okay, ma'am.
पढ़ो.
And from the second root,
Yes.
the second root is where a large country decides to divide its power between the constituent states and the national government. India, Spain, and Belgium are example of this kind of holding together federations. In the second category, the central government tends to be more powerful. Vice versa, the states, very often different constituent units of the federation, have unequal powers. Some units are granted special powers.
ठीक है. ओके. इसमें कोई ऐसी चीज सेकंड वाले में जो ना समझ में आई हो बेटा? ऑल क्लियर? चलिए, अब हमें यूनिटरी फॉर्म क्या होती है, यूनिटरी फॉर्म क्या होती है, फेडरल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट क्या होती है, हमें क्लियर है. कमिंग टुगेदर रूट क्या होता है, कमिंग होल्डिंग टुगेदर रूट क्या होता है, ये हमें क्लियर है. फीचर्स ऑफ फेडरलिज्म हमें कंप्लीटली क्लियर है. एम आई क्लियर विद एवरीथिंग?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, nothing to be explained again, right?
Ma'am, I have one doubt.
Yes, बताइए.
Ma'am, it is written, ma'am, in holding together federation, ma'am, it divides its power between the constituent states and the national government.
हाँ
Ma'am,
जी.
it is same as coming together federation. Ma'am,
No,
as it also divides its power.
it is not the same. It is not the same. It is not the same.
Yes,
Coming together
ma'am, it
फेडरेशन
is
में,
written that
हाँ
power.
हाँ,
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, I know that it is not same, but ma'am, it is written that country decide to divide its power between constituent states and national government.
ठीक है. तो इसमें
And
क्या?
ma'am, in coming together,
हाँ, कमिंग टुगेदर में
okay, ma'am. No, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am, I got call line.
डाउट क्लियर हो गया? डाउट क्लियर हो
Yes,
गया?
ma'am.
ठीक है. चलिए, अब हम आते हैं व्हाट मेक्स इंडिया अ फेडरल कंट्री. हमारी कंट्री देखो, अब इसमें ना देखो बेटा, ये कुछ क्वेश्चंस दिए हुए हैं. Can we have Prashasti reading? Some Nepalese citizens were discussing the proposals on the adoption of federalism in their new constitution. पढ़ो इसको एक बार जरा.
Some Nepalese citizens were discussing the proposals on the adoption of federalism in their new constitution. This is what some of them said. Khakraj, I don't like federalism. It would lead to reservation of seats of different caste groups as in India. Sarita, ours is in not a very big country. We don't need federalism. Babulal, I am hopeful that the Terai areas will get more autonomy if they get their own state government. Ram Ganesh, I like federalism because it will mean that powers that were earlier enjoyed by the king will now be exercised by our elected representatives. If you are participating in the conversation, what would be your response to each of this? Which of these reflect a wrong understanding of what federalism is? What makes India a federal country?
बताओ. वी ऑल नो दैट नेपाल के बारे में सबको पता है ना, किस टाइप की कंट्री है नेपाल? डेमोक्रेटिक है कि मोनार्की है?
Ma'am, Nepal.
Yes.
Ma'am, it is
Ma'am, democratic.
हाँ, बताओ
Ma'am,
भाई.
it is a democratic country.
It is a
Ma'am, democratic country.
It is a democratic country. अब ये डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री जो है, इस डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री को डेमोक्रेसी होने से पहले इट वाज अ मोनार्की. आपको हमने क्लास 8 में आपको शायद बताया होगा, जब हमने सिविक्स करा था, या 7th में बताया होगा कि नेपाल में जो है ऑफ एंड ऑन कभी डेमोक्रेसी कभी किंग का रूल आ रहा था. अब फाइनली जो है नेपाल में डेमोक्रेसी स्टैब्लिश हो गई है. तो ये जो कन्वर्सेशन है ये उसी से रिलेटेड है. ठीक है, ठीक है. अब वो कह रहा है कि इफ यू वर पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन दिस कन्वर्सेशन, व्हाट वुड बी योर रिस्पॉन्स टू ईच ऑफ दीज, एंड विच ऑफ दीज रिफ्लेक्ट अ रॉन्ग अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ व्हाट फेडरलिज्म इज, व्हाट मेक्स इंडिया अ फेडरल कंट्री. अब कह रहा है कि ये लोग जो आपस में बात कर रहे हैं, एक कह रहा है मुझे फेडरलिज्म पसंद नहीं है, एक कह रहा है मुझे फेडरलिज्म पसंद है क्योंकि भाई जो पावर्स किंग एंजॉय करता था अब उसके इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स एंजॉय करेंगे. तो अगर आप इनके कन्वर्सेशन में होते तो आप क्या कहते, आप इनके जो दिमाग के जो क्वेश्चंस हैं या जो भी क्वेरीज हैं उनको आप किस तरीके से आंसर आउट करते, बताओ.
Ma'am, there are different people have different mentality. Ma'am, because ma'am, there is one person, ma'am, Hagas, ma'am, who's saying, ma'am, he don't like federalism because, ma'am, it would lead to a reservation of seats, ma'am, which is good for somehow, but ma'am, it could be a discrimination for others, and then it won't be a democratic country. I know it will not be a part of federal government. So, ma'am, by this saying that, ma'am, for federalism, ma'am, it will give reservation of seats, ma'am, it is good. But, ma'am, just for, ma'am, and ma'am, there are also people who say that they like federalism because it needs the power to, ma'am, Ram Ganesh said that I like federalism because it will mean that power that were earlier enjoyed by the king will now be held by our elected representatives. So, ma'am, it is also a good one feature of federalism that it will give equal power to everyone, and ma'am, now everyone is equally, ma'am, they can equally participate in our elections so that ma'am, everyone gets equal rights.
If I were part of this conversation, तो हम राम गणेश से कहते हैं कि I will agree, क्योंकि उसको जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है फेडरलिज्म के बारे में वो बहुत परफेक्ट है. उसे मालूम है कि फेडरलिज्म में पावर का डिवीजन होता है और कोई एक इंसान जो है पावर्स को कंप्लीटली एक्सरसाइज नहीं करता है. फिर जो बाबूलाल है वो कहता है कि आई एम होपफुल दैट द तराई एरियाज विल गेट मोर ऑटोनॉमी इफ दे गेट देयर ओन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. भाई जो मतलब अगर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट होती है तो ऑब्वियस सी बात है स्टेट गवर्नमेंट अपने पावर्स एंजॉय करती है. तो उसे इसको भी बाबूलाल को भी पता है ये बात कि जब अगर हम फेडरलिज्म को प्रैक्टिस करते हैं और अगर हम टीयर्स ऑफ गवर्नमेंट को लेते हैं, मतलब लेवल्स ऑफ गवर्नमेंट अगर हम कहते हैं, तो उसे ये बात पता है कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की अपनी पावर्स होती हैं और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की अपनी पावर्स होती हैं. राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. अब सरिता कहती है आर्स इज नॉट अ वेरी बिग कंट्री, वी डोंट नीड फेडरलिज्म. तो यहाँ पे इसकी जो समझ है फॉर फेडरलिज्म वो गलत है. हमें उसको ये समझाना होगा कि भाई जरूरी नहीं है कि बड़ी कंट्री है तभी फेडरलिज्म चाहिए. कई बार बेल्जियम तो बहुत छोटी कंट्री थी, छोटा सा ही तो एक राष्ट्र है वो, पर फिर भी वहां पे हमने उन्होंने फेडरलिज्म प्रैक्टिस करी बिकॉज ऑफ द एथनिक डाइवर्सिटी दैट वाज देयर. ठीक है. तो सरिता को ये बात समझनी होगी कि जरूरी नहीं है कि अगर बड़ी कंट्री होगी तभी फेडरलिज्म को हम प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. हम छोटी कंट्रीज में भी फेडरलिज्म को प्रैक्टिस करते हैं टू एक्सरसाइज कंप्लीट हार्मनी. ओके, नो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, नो लड़ाई झगड़ा, नथिंग, एवरीथिंग शुड बी सेटल्ड. राइट? Then coming to Khagraj says, I don't like federalism. It would lead to reservation of seats for different caste groups like India. उसे ये कौन समझाए कि भाई जो लोग डिप्राइव्ड ऑफ क्लासेस थे क्या उनको हक नहीं है तरक्की करने का? तो अगर डेमोक्रेसी आती है तो उसे हम समझाएंगे कि भाई आपको फेडरलिज्म लेना है तो जरूरी थोड़ी है कि आप रिजर्वेशन करो ही करो, पर अगर रिजर्वेशन हम करते हैं तो वो एक तरीके से कंट्री में हार्मनी को इस्टेब्लिश करेगा, कंट्री में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स को खत्म करेगा. राइट? right?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
इतना clear सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
देखो बेटा, I know it is little boring to read the chapter, but it is equally important while explaining, making flowcharts. It is equally important to go through the chapters also, because ultimately at the end of the day, when you will be appearing for your exams, whatever is written in the book is going to come to you. So we need to be thorough with what we have, what content we have in the book. So since day one, I am telling you, be thorough with your chapters, be thorough with the lines which are there. And if I tell particularly to underline something, do that. Because from those lines, several times CBSE has given questions which are of importance, right?
yes, ma'am.
Shalini. Now,
Yes,
do
sir.
we have time? How much is left? How many minutes?
Not even yet.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. So I think in 2 minutes, Kushagra, can you read this? What makes India a federal country?
Yes, sir. We have earlier seen how small countries like Belgium and Sri Lanka face so many problems of managing diversity. What about a vast country like India, with so many languages, religion, and regions? What are the power sharing arrangements in our country? Let us begin with the constitution. India has emerged as an independent nation after a painful and bloody partition. Soon after independence, several princely states became a part of our country. The constitution declared India as a union of states, although it did not use the word federation. The Indian Union is based on the principle of federalism. Let
Continue,
us go back to the
continue,
seven
continue.
features of federalism mentioned above. We can see that all these features apply to the provisions of the Indian Constitution. The Constitution originally provided for a two-tier system of government, the union government, or what we call the central government, representing the Union of India, and the state governments. Later, a third tier of federalism was added in the form of panchayats and municipality. As in any federation, these different tiers enjoy separate jurisdiction. The constitution clearly provided a three-fold distribution of legislative power between the union government and the state government. Thus, it contains three lists.
Can continue? We still have time. चलो ठीक है, रहने दो, रहने दो.
Union,
Meeting, wait, Kushal. Meeting will end any minute. So up till here, please read again. If you feel anything is required explanation, I'll do that for you. Right? Go through. Make sure that you have done the flow charts. Make sure. Okay. I have not given you additional questions, right?
yes, sir.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So we will do that as well. Okay. So thank you all for joining. Right, class?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.